Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're working with the sick little Vanda that I recently received for free in my orchid haul, the white Vanda. And you might be tempted to say, wait, it didn't used to look like that. Yep, this is what's left of it actually. And don't worry, I will show you the footage of how I ended up with what you see here. My mic was kind of running out of battery and I didn't want to record an audio-less video once again. So I'm just going to narrate through that part. But if you remember, this orchid looked pretty horrendous, and I have to say what I found was even more horrendous. It was scary. So this orchid is super sick. I'm not entirely sure if I can save it. I will do my best, but there is a very high chance that there are some underlying issues that maybe I'm not aware of. In any case though, I hope this attempt will be successful. I will keep you up to date, and if you stick around towards the end of the video, maybe we're gonna do a little update on the algae covered Vanda orchid that I purchased about 2 or 3 months ago. Well, as you can see, it's still alive, but I'll give you some close-ups. So give this video a like for good luck, and why not subscribe? I post 3 times a week. So before we go ahead and pot up this orchid, let me show you what I did so far. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to remove the basket, and for that we need protective goggles. Plastic will start flying everywhere. I'm using my garden pruners, which, as you can see, looks pretty horrible, but that's why I use it for things such as these. I sterilized it with a flame just in case I cut a root, which I don't intend to do, but sometimes it happens. And I take it slow, one tiny piece by one tiny piece, making sure that I'm not cutting away the roots, but as you can see, it's quite a process. It takes a little bit to free all of the roots, and I do manage to catch some pieces, but some just fly around the greenhouse. At this point, I'm starting to detect such a foul smell. It is moving my nose from my face. At this point, the issue becomes very obvious. I have an issue with the stem, or rather the orchid has. I do believe it could be stem rot, and I also do believe that I cannot save the top part. It looks very affected. And on that area, the orchid cannot produce roots anyway, so no point in keeping the top part. I will focus on the keikis. I'm starting to cut the stem above the roots just in case I do have some good roots there, which can help my keikis. But as I discovered, the stem is completely dried up. I'm throwing the bits that I removed directly into the trash because at this point the smell became almost unbearable. It's like nothing I've ever detected before. It's like uncleaned chicken coop. Why does it smell like that? I have no idea, but it's horrible. And I'm sure you've noticed it, but I didn't. There is a bug on my tray, which scares the heebie-jeebies out of me. So it is a very good idea to spray some hydrogen peroxide in the mess that is the bottom stem of this orchid, just in case other bugs are present there and I'm not seeing them. I want them to come out now. Luckily, there were no other bugs, so I can go ahead and remove all of the dead roots and all of the dried sheaths. Sadly, 99.9% of the roots are completely gone. I thought they were alive because they were a little green, but turns out it was just algae. And what I'm left with is one single root attached to one of the keikis. As I clean away the area, I also find another keiki that sadly got trapped into the basket and couldn't come out. And I also noticed that it had a rotten stem as well, so there was no way I could save it. What's interesting is that one of the keikis actually has a flower spike, a dried flower spike with buds. I have never seen such a young keiki produce a flower spike, so this orchid tried to reproduce herself in any way possible. So the issue, I suspect, was a pretty old issue. It wasn't new. This orchid was just way too dirty, quote unquote. So after all of that, this is all I'm left with. I have a pretty, I don't know if healthy root, which has a dried tip that I can simply remove. It was the only good root on this orchid. Everything else was really questionable and attached to the stem, which is completely dry. Everything is completely dry. Now, the problem is, as you can see here, we have 2 keikis. One of them has a root, this one has nothing. And to be fully honest, I don't think they communicate because the entire stem is completely dry. There's nothing alive here. So I can already see this keiki looks a little bit more dehydrated. So I can already see a little bit of wrinkling on these leaves. meaning it's not really all that hydrated, but this one looks better. So hopefully at least one of the keikis survives. And this root looks okay, but it would be ideal to have a few good roots. Anyway, we're gonna see if this orchid will start to pick up soon. I will pot it up in a clay pot, just like my other Vandas. I will be using my typical sphagnum moss and bark chips. So let's go ahead and pot it up really, really fast. I have to say, I really like this combo for the Vandas. They really are not the type of orchids that are super, super thirsty all of the times. They are thirsty, but they're so tolerant to drought that it seems to me they're not all that tolerant to high moisture. So I would much rather have a very airy setup, pot included, than keeping them like in self-watering or something of the sorts. I'm pretty sure someone else can pull it off, but I think I've reached the limit of my climate, and this is Vandas in self-watering. That does not work. Yes, I am still using sphagnum moss because it directs water and also retains water. I don't want this pot to be non-water retentive at all because it's terracotta. It dries super fast. But as you can see, I'm not adding copious amounts of sphagnum moss, even with this terracotta pot. Anyway, so I think that's about the right level for some slow release fertilizer. There we go. And we're gonna top it off with bark. All right, so this orchid is fairly stable, not super stable. Let's make it super stable. I'm going to be using a bamboo skewer, which I will attach to the other keiki, the one that I'm not sure if it's gonna survive, just to not damage in any way the good keiki, the one that I'm hoping will survive. So that is about it for this little Vanda. I'm also going to make a tag. Ta-da! I have all my supplies on my desk, and I actually think I know what this orchid is. I'm just gonna write it. It's a no ID. So I'm gonna start with a no ID, Vanda Princess, Mikasa, White. One more thing I started to do with the tags is also add the month and the year, particularly because I'm using mainly organic medium now, and even though I have the memory of an elephant, if that's the expression, I do have good memory. With orchids at least. Having so many orchids means I'm prone to making mistakes, so I don't want to forget when I repot things, when I add fertilizer. Fertilizer needs to be replenished. It's just fun to know when I repotted orchids. In 8 years, or actually 10, 2 off YouTube, I never wrote dates on my tags because I never had enough orchids to warrant that. And I also have my YouTube library, which acts a little bit like a diary, if you will. But now I find myself in a position never before seen in which I have too many orchids to remember exactly, at least the month, when I repotted everything. I think I can remember the season, but even that, I tend to mix it up. Anyway, so that's about it for this orchid. Since we're here though, I was promising you that we're gonna look at the orchid which was full of algae and see how she's doing. So let's see her now. And here we are. This is Rhincostylus retusa. It does not have a tag. I will make a tag. This is the one in that pretty bad order that I did last year, which was, oh hi. No, don't poop on my camera, please, not today. She was full of algae, and the amount of quote-unquote dirt, it wasn't really dirt, but metaphorically speaking, was out of this world in my opinion. I've never had such a quote-unquote dirty orchid. I will link you to the video down below if you missed it. Well, here she is today. After 2 or 3 months, there isn't an unearthly amount of growth, but she is looking pretty good. She is hydrated, she is getting hydrated. The roots are functioning, the pests or bugs or whatever we saw in that video are not back. I don't know what they were. I do see remnants of whatever she was infested with on the leaves, but it's gone now. The leaf in the crown, I do believe, grew a little bit because it looks so much better than everything else. I will need to revisit the video and see exactly how much it grew, but I do feel like this one will be okay. I feel like she's not gonna start losing all of her leaves all of a sudden, although, you know, that can happen as well. So for now, everything is looking okay with it. I'm super happy. But yeah, the amount of just stuff in this orchid or on this orchid, pretty comparable to what I experienced today with the other white Vanda. It was pretty horrific, especially when you're used to keeping your orchids pretty clean and free of decaying materials and things of the sorts. And that smell, I don't know what that smell was. I think I will mention it in the narration a million times how bad it smelled. Anyway, this one smelled really bad as well, but not to the extent of the white one. I'm happy to say that she will be okay. At least this is what I'm seeing, and hopefully the white Vanda will be okay as well. So that's about it for today. Keep your fingers crossed for the little white Vanda because she will have such a nice story to tell. I really hope that in 3-4 years time, when she will be all grown up, hopefully, and she's gonna rebloom, we're gonna revisit this video and yeah, just make the story of type of video. I really love orchids with stories, but I think she will have the nickname Uncleaned Chicken Coop Orchid, because I swear that's how she smelled like. Oh, it doesn't smell like that now. Thank goodness. Why it smelled like that, I don't know. But that's how she smelled. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great day. Subscribe to my channel for more orchid videos, tutorials, experiments, updates, and other fun orchid subjects. If you wish to support the channel, do consider becoming a member or visit the merch store linked down below in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. It's always nice to stay in touch there as well. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!